All right, so Dana White promised us yesterday that he was going to be announcing the UFC 249 card on Twitter, and he's kind of delivered on that promise because I haven't seen an undercard anywhere, but he has announced that Tony Ferguson will be fighting Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title. You'd think I'd sort my mic out before I start recording, innit? You'd think I'd have the foresight to say to myself, you know what, you're going to record this now, so let's sort the mic out and then let's start recording, but yeah, I didn't, and it's annoying me because like this is blocking my face, and I don't even know why I have this. Honestly, I don't even know why I have this. I should just take it off. It's pointless. But yeah, anyway. So look, when this announcement was made, I posted about it on Instagram. So if you've got Instagram, follow me on there. My name is the Battle Camp, and it's on Twitter as well, the Battle Camp. So feel free to give me a follow. Anyway, so look. When I posted about this on Instagram, I said on there that this for me raises more questions than it does provide answers. And what I meant by that is there's a couple of things that we need to consider. One, whenever the UFC announce a fight, the way they do it is they'll have fighter A and fighter B on the poster, and then they'll have the event, whether it's a fight night, whether it's UFC 249 in this case. You'll have the date, April 18. Yep, check. So the three things are there, and then right underneath the date they'll have the location. Send me location. There's no location on this fight card, and I'm just kind of speculating, or the conspiracy theorist in me is basically thinking, why are they being so secretive about the location? Because look, if you've got Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson sat there willing to fight, confirmed, we're going to fight on April 18, it's one of two reasons that the location isn't there. One, they just genuinely still don't have a venue, and they're still working on securing a venue that's going to host this fight, right? And if that's the case, imagine come next week they still don't have a venue. At what point do they say, you know what, fuck it, like we got to call it. We can't have this fight. Do you know what I mean? On the other hand, if they do have a location, if they genuinely have a location and everything is ready, everything is secured, why not just tell us what it is? I'm not for 1 second buying this whole thing that Dana's got about, oh yeah, you media guys are a bunch of pussies, or whatever it is that he said exactly. A bunch of crybabies. I can't remember the exact wording that he used, but I'm not buying that as a reason as to why they're keeping the location a secret. Do you know what I mean? I'm not buying the fact that he's got this bee in his bonnet with MMA media, and that's why they've decided they're not going to tell anyone what the location is. Now, the conspiracy theorist in me kind of thinks this is a possibility. And I'm not saying this is a fact. This is just me being a conspiracy theorist. So this is just speculation. It's just me making this up. This is just me thinking out loud. Do you think it's possible that they're not telling us what the location is because they're scared? And when I say they, I mean the UFC are scared that as soon as they announce the location of this fight, it's going to provide something for the media to comment on, for them to react to. And if that comment and that reaction is negative, it might deter the commission or whoever's governing this fight. And it might make them reconsider their decision to host this fight. And it might make them say to themselves, you know what, we shouldn't really be doing this. And it might make them turn around and say, you know what, Dana, sorry, like we've had a think, and we think it's a bad idea. So we're going to cancel the event. It's possible. It's possible. But that's just me being a conspiracy theorist. Time will tell. Like I said, there's no undercard. And the question around the undercard for me is this. Look, you got to remember the announcement for Khabib against Tony was last year, December or November or something like that. So in our heads, we've been counting down the months that Khabib's going to fight Tony in April. Khabib's going to fight Tony in April. Look, this is unforeseen circumstances. Nobody knew or thought this coronavirus was going to come and sweep the world and stop everything in its tracks. However, from as soon as it became evident the coronavirus was as serious as it has turned out to be, Dana White's attitude was, we're definitely having a fight. Khabib and Tony are definitely fighting each other on April 18. That has now turned to, we're definitely having a fight, because Khabib clearly isn't fighting on April 18. Now, the replacement, and this is no slight on Justin Gaethje, the replacement that's fighting Tony Ferguson isn't Khabib. Khabib against Tony Ferguson is a fight I think is the most eagerly anticipated fight amongst hardcore MMA fans right now. I can't think of two other fighters that you can match up that would generate as much buzz and excitement amongst MMA fans as Tony against Khabib does. So now that Khabib's out of the equation and you put Justin Gaethje in there, it's a downgrade. I'm sorry, it's a downgrade. And because of that, you need to ensure that there's an undercard that has enough quality to support the main event. As MMA fans, as a community of MMA, we've become accustomed to an MMA event, not just a main event. Does that make sense? So in boxing, you look forward to the main event. You might not even know who the fighters are on the undercard. As MMA fans, as soon as the main card starts, the arenas full, generally speaking. Like, we're used to having events where there's 3 or 4 meaningful fights, and this isn't including the actual main event. There's 3 or 4 meaningful fights on the undercard that have connotations within the division, title connotations, number 1 contender, or just a genuine beef between 2 people that hate each other, a grudge match that we just want to see. Or it might just be 2 guys that are really highly skilled, or girls that are really highly skilled, and we just want to see what happens when they fight each other in the cage, right? So if the undercard for UFC 249 doesn't provide us with that, then it begs the question, what's the fucking point? Why are we doing this? We're having an event for the sake of having an event. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if UFC 249, we're replacing Khabib with Gaethje, which is a lower caliber fight than what we originally had, then the undercard needs to be brought up a little bit. Like, obviously, Rose against who is Rose fighting? Andrade. That was going to be a good. Like, I was looking forward to that fight, and there was a couple of other fights on the undercard that I can't remember off the top of my head. I've got a laptop right here. I should check it, but I'm not gonna. But the undercard, the quality of the undercard needs to be there. And I believe this fight is going to be on pay-per-view in the States. So if you're going to ask people to pay whatever it is that people pay for an event that isn't of the quality that we knew was initially planned, I'm not sure whether that's such a good idea. I don't know whether there's any value in that for us as fans. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I've spoken about this previously, logistically, just health and safety aspects of everything. They need to make sure that they have all of the controls and measures in place to make sure that a potential impact of someone testing positive, well, firstly, they need to make sure that there is some form of testing in place for coronavirus. And if there is, they need to have a plan, a plan around how they're going to manage a situation, or a positive test for coronavirus for someone that's involved in one of the fights, or not even in the fights, a bloody commentator, a cameraman, just people in the commission, just general people in the commission that be just standing around the scales at weigh-ins, and cut men, and do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many people involved in these events. They need to make sure that all of these people are managed accurately, and not accurately isn't the right word, are managed, and there's a plan in place to make sure that if there's basically, I'm a project manager, there's a risk register in place. You need to make sure that you've documented every single potential risk and the outcome of that risk, and all of the steps you're going to take to mitigate each of those risks. You need to do that. And if they haven't done that well enough, it could cause major long-term issues. Like, this is either going to be a masterstroke by the UFC and Dana by holding this event and giving us this entertainment and nobody catching this coronavirus. This is best case scenario. A great night of fight, a great night of fights. Everybody goes home. Fighters get paid. We're all happy as paying customers. And Dana White can just turn around and say, "Fuck off! I told you lot." And that's fair. That's all well and good. He can be the hero in all of this. But on the flip side, this, like, if one person that's involved in this event contracts coronavirus, and there's, like, I don't know, I'm not going to say if someone dies or if it spreads, like, you know, that is a potential here. And this is why the world has come to a standstill. And if you're going to ignore the world and say, we're just going to try and carry on, you have to be ready to face the consequences if something dire like that happens. Do you know what I mean? It's a possibility. the final thing that I just want to quickly touch on is Tony Ferguson. And people are saying, why is Tony Ferguson taking this fight? He shouldn't be taking an interim title fight. He should be fighting for the actual championship. He should have waited. He should have just waited for the Khabib fight. He shouldn't be pressured into taking this fight. I don't think I don't think Tony's being pressured. I think Tony Ferguson genuinely is a bad mother trucker. I think he genuinely doesn't give a flying Frenchman's fuck who he fights. I think if you put Justin Gaethje's name on a paper in front of him, all he sees is someone that he can beat. And that is the beauty of the Tony Ferguson and Khabib fight for me, because I think Tony Ferguson has maximum belief in himself and his abilities. Look, I'm not saying Justin Gaethje isn't a risk. I'm not saying that Justin Gaethje isn't a guy that can cause Tony Ferguson issues. I'm not saying Justin Gaethje can't beat Tony Ferguson. This fight in itself, I'll make a separate video just about the fight. This fight is for me, it's an exciting fight. Like, if I didn't know Khabib was going to fight Tony Ferguson and this fight got announced, I'd be well up for it. I'd be excited about it. I just don't think Tony Ferguson, I think Tony Ferguson genuinely believes that he can beat anyone in that division on any night, in any location. In any location. And that was the beauty of the Tony Ferguson and Khabib fight for me. Like, I've just repeated myself, but you guys know what I mean. Yeah, look, obviously things are going to unfold. I don't know this for a fact, but I expect Dana White to sit down with someone like Brett Okamoto on Skype or whatever, and I expect Brett to ask him the questions that difficult questions, and put him on the spot and ask him about what kind of controls and measures they've got in place, etc., and ask him why he believes that this fight, the risk around the coronavirus, why this fight this event needs to happen, even though you're aware of all of the different implications that could happen with this virus. Like, what is so important about, why does this need to happen so badly? Do you know what I mean? Look, I'm dragging on a bit. I was trying to make a quick video and I'm nearly hitting 15 minutes, so I'm going to call it a day here. But yeah, I expect Dana White to sit down and talk to the media. What is fight week going to be like? Do you know what I mean? There's not going to be any open workouts. Like, what is there going to be, a press conference? Like, Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, are they not even going to engage with each other in some sort of press or media kind of setting? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many questions, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button if you've enjoyed this fight. Let me know what you think about some of the things that I brought up in the video. If you've got your own opinion, if you've got something on your mind that I haven't even touched on in this video, or it just hasn't popped up in my head, feel free to put it in the comments below, because when I make follow-up videos for this, I'll definitely have a look, and if I think something's interesting enough, I'll definitely talk about it. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. Go in the description of the video, you'll see all links to my podcast, so feel free to subscribe to my podcast. I don't really post the podcast stuff on YouTube, so yeah, follow that as well. That's enough plugging on myself, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.